Hello, my friend. Welcome back to J Mick. My name's Jack, the snack that smiles back, and you're here for more stories on the internet, so here you go. Am I the a-hole for being involved with my best friend's ex after they broke up? My best friend A broke up with B 3 months ago. 2 months later, I became close friends with B. A while after, we made out once. I was hesitant to tell A to not hurt her feelings and damage our friendship. I'm freaking stupid for not realizing A wasn't 100% over B. 1 to 2 weeks after, I told A and apologized for keeping it from her. She was upset in the beginning, but after talking, she said she was okay with it. I thought it was alright to keep going since I had her approval. I've had people around me who went out with their best friend's exes, so I thought it was alright since me and B weren't even dating. After this, A frequently brought B up in conversation, whereas I actively avoided doing so. But just recently, she said she felt like I couldn't be 100% honest with her about what me and B did, and that I was dishonest. I said that I didn't think me not informing her on what me and him did constantly was dishonesty. It was simply me being uncomfortable raising it, like while talking with her. And it's straight up disrespectful and bitchy if I did. I said that I'm also protecting his and my privacy, since he wouldn't want her knowing, and whatever he would tell me about her wouldn't change my view of her as a person, and both of them are very important to me. She replied angrily, saying he was still her ex, and I should miss her with the whole, it's just me protecting someone's privacy, because I hid my whole involvement with him, which I didn't, and I can't deny it because of our friendship. What? Those two things never correlated. The point about privacy was only made for when I was accused as dishonest. She then accused me of sitting atop in a high and mighty tower of logic and fairness, and that the issue is the lack of interest in sharing. Apparently, I don't give a schmidt about morals or girl code, and she was always allowed to change her mind about how she saw the situation, and she disliked how ambiguous I was when she asked what me and B were, whether I liked him, when in reality, I'm still not even sure what we are. We established in the end that she wasn't comfortable with me being more than friends with B.
So hold on, how ironic of her to accuse you of dishonesty when she literally exposes her dishonesty about her thoughts here the entire time.
I was pretty annoyed because she mentioned multiple times before this argument that she said me and B were none of her business. Then suddenly, one day it wasn't, and that I'm fricked up for supposedly being comfortable with this situation even after her approval, and didn't talk about him because it's disrespectful and uncomfortable. I said that I'm really hurt and angry that my character is being attacked. I said several times that she has the full right to not be okay with it anymore, but saying that I was suddenly fricked up because she suddenly changed her mind didn't make sense. So with that all said, what are people's thoughts? I'm not the a-hole. I have never understood these codes. If I dump someone, it's apparent that I don't want to continue the relationship, and every possible decision I have in their future relationships is gone, right along with them. It's not up to me to decide who they date, or when they start dating again. A really good friend of mine hooked up with an ex the weekend after we split. In your story, your friend dumped him, but wanted to get back with him later. But he wasn't interested in doing so. That sounds like she was playing games that she ended up losing. That's specifically referencing some of the replies the OP has made in the comments. Most of them are yatar though. You don't date your best friend's ex unless you're willing to lose that friendship. Don't care what genders are involved. OP sees all this happening and tries to backpedal with this justification that, oh, I wasn't planning to hook up, I was just in a really dark mood at the time, and he happened to be around and oh, I'm horny, so that justifies it. Which just made her a fish in the barrel. You keeping and trying to justify yourself only makes it more worse. That is not an excuse to frick your friend's ex just because you're dealing with some schmidt. That's BS. And using the excuse that you're horny means you're allowed to hook up with your friend's ex so that it's okay just makes you completely untrustable in general as a friend because of how you'd react to every single friend's ex. So OP understands this and just tries to be honest with himself.
Big wall of backpedaling.
So universally, everyone's yatar. But I gotta agree with the first comment. Yatar, you can have your moral codes with your friends all you want. But end of the day, you don't get to choose or dictate who your friend dates. I mean, yeah, it depends on the circumstances. But this was after 2 months. Honestly, after a month of breaking up, any emotional turmoil you're going through, that's on me to sort out. Your emotions and pain is totally valid, and your friend is totally valid to hear you out. But if you can't respect and try to ban someone's feelings for someone else, why should they respect and allow yours? Next story. Am I the a-hole for making my son be feminine?
Ah, the scandal.
I'm a 26-year-old female and my husband, who's 27, have multiple kids together. Our oldest is a daughter, and then the second was a boy. My daughter is 8, son is 4. He's not in school until next year at 5. I like to let the kids pick up their own clothes from whatever gender side when I go shopping, and then I decide if it's too expensive or if there's a problem. And there almost never is. My daughter usually prefers the clothes from the girls section, and my son usually prefers boy clothes. However, my son sees some of the clothes from the other side, and he definitely likes the different colors. He picked out a couple pairs of PJs that were in the girl section. One was a purple with koala bears, one was pink with lemons, and the other a pastel blue with miscellaneous animals. Not that I would care, but that was all that was on them. No truffles, trims, lace, bows, etc. Just plain colors and animal or fruit. I said, okay, I couldn't see any fuss in it. We got home, showed my husband. He said he couldn't even tell, and there were PJs anyway, so who cares? I mean, he cares a little bit more than I do, but approved. We had no issues, and my son loved them. Then my mother-in-law came over. God, it's always the mother-in-law. To drop something off and saw my son. She asked my husband why our son was wearing pink. He explained and she told him that I was making my son feminine. She insisted that he doesn't know any better and it's inappropriate. She has continued to bring it up to my husband and thinks that it is borderline child abuse. Wow. Imagine working for CPS and getting this kind of call. Now my husband thinks I shouldn't let him choose from both sections anymore, and I said that's silly, because he's just a 4-year-old boy who likes all colors. We had a fight and he made me feel like I may be the a-hole because my son could get bullied and that'd be my fault. I would try to get my son to dress like that. I just want him to decide. So to highlight this comment, when their nephew was 4, he insisted on having his nails painted. Some old guy asked him why his nails were painted and he said, "What, you don't like Power Ranger blue?" PJs in any color aren't going to determine your child's future. Hell, I've even got a personal recount of all this BS. When I was literally about 4 years old, I was hanging out with my nieces and my sister. They were all wearing tutus and dancing around in the lounge room for our grandparents. I demanded from my mother to have a tutu. Was it because I like pink and ballerinas? No! I just wanted what my sister had! I want that! That's a thing! She has it, I want it! So that was how my brain worked. Like, sure, okay, the dad can argue there that, oh, he's gonna be encouraged to wear these things and then he's gonna get bullied for it. That's not on the kid. That's not on the parents. That's on the bully. I don't know, am I the only one to experience this kind of thing as a kid? Just you'd like to play around with things for the sake of playing around with them, not because you were genuinely wanting to be feminine? Anyway, next story in relationship advice. My girlfriend is trying too hard to gain my trust after she cheated. Okay, so me, a 22-year-old male, and my girlfriend, who's 21, have been dating for 3 years, but 4 months ago, she cheated on me with one of her old hometown friends. This was very unlike her to do something like that, because before this, she was very loyal. After I found out she cheated, I was crushed. We separated for like a month, and we started again and got back together. The problem now is that we're together again. She's been trying way too hard. She texts me every second of the day. She's always sending me her location. She doesn't go hang with her friends. She's clinging to me every minute of the day, and does everything I ask. It doesn't complain about nothing I do or say, even when I'm in the wrong. It just seems off. I always reassure her that I trust her, but she still does these things. Like, how can I get her to stop? Like, I just want our relationship to be normal again. Now, this being Reddit, everyone is totally understanding of the complexity of relationships, so no one is, of course, saying immediately that he should break up with her. I don't know why you would want to get back with her. She has already proven she is untrustworthy, and if the opportunity came up again, do you think she wouldn't take it? She's a bitch and should be dropped ASAP. Another thought on the other side of the pond. Okay, everybody claiming claiming that she'll definitely cheat again needs to calm their tatingas. A lot of people cheat, but not everyone is a serial cheater. This girl is still quite young. It's very likely that she cheated because she was feeling bold and now regrets it as she sees what it does. I think at this point, it's equally likely that she'll never cheat again. More so because the behavior that you, OP, described sounds like shame. She's not just trying to win back trust, she's groveling out of shame and embarrassment. I'd say if she has this trait of bipolarism, where she can go from one extreme to the other, then yeah, I would be suspicious. Because obviously she's sticking to one extreme here before she'll probably end up bouncing back to the other, because she's likely not got this stuff checked out. Especially because you're a young couple, she's a young girl. Yeah, I'm not surprised, to be honest. Young relationships are the most volatile. Honestly, the sooner you experience these mistakes together, the better. But I mean, she's clearly trying. So some of the comments suggesting that you should then sleep with someone else to get back at her, no, this isn't high school. There are plenty of psychology books out there that help with this sort of issue anyway, so I won't go into too much detail. This really does seem like a case of someone genuinely regretting their actions. Next story. Am I the a-hole for humiliating my aunt by saying I never dated her son? Yes, that does sound incestual, but I assure you it is just the nickname. My mother's longtime best friend, has been my aunt for as long as I can remember. When I was 16, she moved near us and her son started attending my school. From day one, he seemed to think he was dating me. My aunt and my mother both pressed on about how sweet it would be if we were victorious childhood friends. When we didn't date in high school and I went to college, this chatter went away. The truth is, I barely know this guy. We played together on beach vacations as little kids because we were the only kids in a group of buzzed adults. He wasn't even a great playmate. Now, as we got older, it was more and more apparent to at least me that he had some sort of issue. My own theory, albeit this is an armchair theory, is that he's autistic and hasn't gotten any therapy or treatment to help him navigate the world. Anyway, my mom had a barbecue a few weekends ago, and I came with my boyfriend. My aunt came with her son. After my boyfriend and I sat down, my aunt came over and asked who my friend was. I explained he was my new boyfriend. She sighed and asked how I could do this to her son. My response was along the lines of, what? She launched into how she understood we were on a break, but showing up at a party with my revenge guy was a low blow, especially since everyone knew we'd get back together. It wasn't fair to my flavor of the month to pretend like I was available, and she knew how hung up I was on her son. I know this sounds insane the way I put it, but she seemed so genuine that it was very convincing. My boyfriend was visibly shocked. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'd hate to be truth-bombed into that situation too. I had no idea where this came from, so I said, Auntie, Sonny and I never have dated. I took him to one casual dance as a kindness. I don't know what he's told you about our relationship, but the reality is we say hi on Facebook sometimes. Ouch. She accused me of saving face in front of my boyfriend. He left, and I freaked out. I told her very loudly that this is psycho, that I am not and never have dated her son, and that he's really, truly, utterly undateable. I don't know a single girl who would date this boy. She had just assumed that I'd go along with this crazy narrative that would somehow insulate her from dealing with that reality, but I wasn't going to. Then I left, and was lucky enough to catch my boyfriend before he left, so I had a ride home. She and my mother sent me emails explaining that she was humiliated in front of her longtime friends, that I had no business saying that in public to her. I can see now that it would have been better to pull her into the kitchen or the house and explain this to her, since I now think it's possible her son was feeding her lines and she was really shocked, or I did say some hard things. But in that case, didn't she owe me a trip to the kitchen to call me out on my infidelity? Very valid point. Let's see what the thoughts are. Well, everyone sucks here. She's ridiculous, but you're a duck for insulting the son for no reason. I mean, he wasn't the one making those claims. Well, allegedly. Yeah, you're still the a-hole. You didn't know if she was intentionally lying or if she was being fed lies by her son. And to say that he is utterly undateable in front of a bunch of people is a really schmitty thing to do, although I recognize that she also put you in a bad situation. If you would have just said, I never dated him, I don't know what you're talking about, I would have said Natar, but for you to insult the son while you're at it makes you the a-hole. Oh, Natar, your aunt had no problem spouting all that nonsense in front of your boyfriend and upsetting him. She wanted to bring it up in a public gathering. That's what she got. Now she's upset? I can see where her son gets his bad behavior from. So interestingly enough though, the story actually already has an update. So my grandmother got a hold of me this afternoon to let me know that there is a lot more to this story. My auntie is from the US. She's not from a foreign country with a foreign culture. It's a lie she made up in college to seem more interesting. My mum has been in on the lie from day one. Even my dad didn't know that my auntie was actually the same girl who grew up from a few doors down from my mum. Now, this is a big problem, because my auntie runs a minority-owned business, and that's where my mum is employed. So now this is in legal territory. As for Sonny, well, I really don't know what he believes, but I suspect that his mum cooked up our relationship and was hoping that after my divorce or something, I'd make her betrothed from birth declaration play out, which would of course reinforce her fake persona. So personally, it's an interesting update onto how weirdly scummy slightly this auntie is, but I mean, it doesn't defend you. You're still an a-hole for what you were saying. Like, what was that update meant to prove exactly? But still, is she justified or excused for her behavior because she was pretty much like a cat in a corner? Where do you stand though? I mean, what point can you be excused from any kind of reprimanding? Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying my profession is more respectable than my sister's? I'm a 26-year-old female and I have an older sister who's 29 called Eva. When I was younger, I was not the favorite child. I got in trouble and was super anxious, undiagnosed ADHD. But in high school, I got it together and got into a good college, finished med school, and entered my first year of residency. My sister Eva, growing up, got all the awards and was the good kid. Something happened to her while she was away at college, so she dropped out and entered the adult work industry as a hooker or adult model. My parents did not care since she had a roof over her head, but obviously were not the biggest fans, and asked her to keep quiet around family. I look a lot like my sister, so I hate that people sometimes mistake me for being the sister that works that way. And when she first started, some certain people at our church bothered me about it, and a friend dropped me because of her. I mean, good riddance to be honest, but it did hurt. So I asked her not to mention her profession tonight in front of my new fellow residents and our extended family, because it draws up so many questions and it would derail from the dinner and the celebration. On my birthday dinner with my immediate family, extended family, and my friends, my parents were bragging about how happy they were that I had entered my first year of residency. They talked about how 5K, and this was all a part of the birthday toast that they were giving. My sister, during the toast, all of a sudden exclaimed in a seemingly joking manner, said, "You and Dad never brag about me like this." My parents don't really know what to say, so they pretended not to hear her and go about the toast. The daughter who's always been getting the attention is suddenly upset about no longer getting the attention. After everyone leaves, Eva starts getting in front of my mom's face, asking, "Why don't you guys brag about me?" She then asked if there's something wrong with what she does. My mom is not a confrontational person, so she suggests we just go to bed and talk in the morning. Eva then accuses me of being complicit in her abuse. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of what she does, but as long as she's safe and healthy, I mind my own business and don't comment. At this point, my dad gets into it and asks her to listen to her mum, and we should all take a chill pill and enjoy my birthday. Now she refuses, and I suggest that she just leaves. Her home is 15 minutes away. Eva then starts at me, saying that I think that I'm better than her, and it's my fault she's like this. I said to her very calmly that most parents prefer a pediatrician for a kid than an adult model. I then told her that while she deserves respect, that my profession, in the long term, will end up helping more people than she does, and maybe that's why our parents are more inclined to brag about me than they are to brag about her. And I told her it was rude to even allude to her profession after I begged her not to. I know it sounds silly, but it was my birthday, and I wanted the attention that day. After that, she gets really quiet and leaves the house. It's been roughly 5 days since then, since she hasn't called my mum or texted my mum. They're starting to get worried about her. Now, first edit, she was not supposed to come at all. I mean, I obviously invited her, but she told me that she would not be available. I figured I would not have to have the conversation of my older sister, who looks near identical to me, does the adult work on my birthday, but then she showed up, and so I asked her not to make it a talking point in front of people who were strangers to her. I would have been chill telling them had it been any other day. Another edit about her abuse. So a lot of people thought she dropped out because of some assault or abuse or something much worse, but thank goodness that is not the case. I thought I would just tell you all, and sorry if this is kind of vague, but she tried to baby trap some guy from her college when he said that he'd support the baby, but was not interested in pursuing a romantic relationship. She lost it and said that she was going to, get rid of the baby to punish him. Her choice. But people heard about it and called her out on her behavior, so she left the school out of embarrassment, maybe? Got rid of the baby in our state and stayed home. Ooh, so we got a baby trapper! That's great, that puts her in a very nice light. Not the a-hole. You're a doctor, and she's something that I'm not sure if I can technically say yet on YouTube, otherwise I keep getting demonetized. While there's nothing wrong with being that, and it's her life, and she can do whatever she wants with it, one is clearly more brag-worthy than the other. Your parents accept her choices and support her, but you can't expect them to pretend that this is what they wanted for her and praise her for it. Yep, there's a huge difference between, this is my daughter and she saves people's lives, and this is my daughter, she's good at sucking off. To be fair, where prostitution is illegal, being good isn't even a prerequisite. It's more like, this is my daughter, she's willing to suck off for money. Oh, it gets worse. Oh, you're the a-hole. There was no reason for you to shame her when she was obviously feeling insecure. You should have listened to your parents and gone to bed and discussed it when she wasn't heated. I mean, if she worked in a grocery store, or washed windows, or some other random job and felt small next to you, would you rub it in her face saying that you're saving children's lives and she just bags groceries? But the thought that I definitely side most with, soft everyone sucking here. Her work is work, and can help people who, for whatever reason, struggle to make human connections and end up lonely. They can help people find their way out of trauma and depression. They can help people, just as doctors do, although usually without the same level of judgment. Denigrating anyone for their choice of career is disrespectful and rude. In short, I think your mentality towards her work is totally wrong and just really ignorant, but I think you were absolutely justified to point out that she needs to calm her farm.
Hi, hello, welcome to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time here today, and if you could show your support and love for me by liking this video and subscribing and all that, I would absolutely devour you with affection. Not like a murderer. Be sure to come back next time for some more stories, and with all that said, my name has been Jack. You have been a lovely person to speak to today, and I will see you next time.